Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here. Other side of the glass, Tommy Wirtz, Charlie Usen off today. Him and his girl going to the Packers game tonight at Lambeau Field. So if you are on your way to Lambeau, or you are streaming us, or you are listening to us on WNFL in Green Bay and Appleton, 99.7 FM, and you see Charlie Usen walking around, make sure you say hi. I'm sure he'd appreciate getting spotted and noticed walking around Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's staying in Appleton, I think, as well. So he's been there since last night, and then he's off tomorrow. So Tommy Wirtz will be in here today and tomorrow. Did you give him any tips as far as what you need to do if you are going to Green Bay?
No, I've probably been to 5 games in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't think I really have too much of here's the strategy to go, especially if who am I to say when we have, guys like Andy Herman joining every week, or Trevor Thomas, who's on the air every day now. My tip is find
John Kuhn lives there. That's another one.
I do have, however, a spot that I park that has been pretty good to me. It's over by a church school kind of thing. It's probably 6 blocks away or so from the stadium. That is free parking. It's a little bit of a walk, but free's always good.
Yeah, I last time we went to a game was this year, Packers and Bengals. Took the 9-year-old and 3-year-old. They'd never been to a game, but yet we had not taken them. So we went to a game. I had a parking pass for a parking lot, and I got there 55 minutes before the game started, and the road was closed off to get to said parking lot, and I could not use my parking pass because they closed it off 5 minutes prior, because they closed it at 60 minutes prior to kickoff, and it was 3:25 kickoff, and it was 2:30 when I got there, and they're like, "Oh, you missed it by 5 minutes."
Yeah,
great.
That's brutal.
Cool.
I will
Thanks.
say that's one thing I didn't realize until just having this conversation. I've never parked in a lot. I've always parked on the road.
We ended up parking a lot, but it's like $20. That's half the price that I'm going to pay half the time when I go to a Bucs game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from that, and
Ridiculous.
again, we did walk. I'm not saying we were close from where we ended up parking. We did walk. But yeah, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't a horrible walk. It was like a 10, 12-minute walk, something like that. It was fine. Okay, so coming up on today's show, confident, concerned, and curious. We'll get us things started here at 2 o'clock. Normally, we do these on a Football Friday, except obviously there was no Packer game this weekend, so we're doing it on game day itself. Don't forget as well, Green Bay football postgame show powered by Lakeland University tonight. That guy, Tommy Wirtz, and myself back at it again this evening. He's going to be really sick of me by tomorrow at 5 o'clock when he gets done with this show. That is going to be 8 hours of Sparky on the radio plus commercial breaks and everything else. Oh, buddy, he's going to be like, I don't want to see you the rest of the week. And I'll understand completely. That's how my kids and girl feel as well. Okay, so coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He'll join us. I know it's Packers game day. I get it. I'm not talking Packers all day. I know I'm supposed to, right? I know that. But there are a couple of other things going on Badgers-wise that I want to get to. We'll talk Packers. Every hour, you'll get at least one Packers topic every hour, guaranteed. But it's not going to be 3 straight hours of Packers talk. So just want to give you the heads up on that. So let's start off with confident, concerned, and curious. What are you most confident in? What are you most concerned about? And what are you curious about this Packers team going in? So what are you confident in the Packers doing? So it could be, Sparky, I'm confident that Josh Jacobs is going to score a touchdown again for the Green Bay Packers this week and continue to do what he does at the goal line. Okay. I'm concerned that Jordan Love is going to throw a couple of interceptions in this game. That's my concern in this game. And I'm curious to see if Matthew Golden is going to step up and finally have a big game for the Green Bay Packers. So that's an example of what you could do as a confident, a concerned, and a curious. This is how you get involved. Nicolay Law, talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the social, streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Find us at that same spot on Facebook and Instagram at WI Sports Radio. Let's start with confident first, if y'all want to get involved in what are we confident in going into this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have struggled a little bit more stopping the run than maybe in previous years. The Philadelphia Eagles have issues at cornerback outside of Cooper DeJean as well this year. And some hit and miss opportunities have been occurring for them at cornerback. Who's playing well, who's not playing well, who's hurt, who's out. I'll say this. I'm confident the Packers are going to score at least 3 touchdowns in this game tonight. They're going to get at least 3 scores. Now, I'll add on my confident that Josh Jacobs is going to get one of them. So we'll extend that. I'm confident in Jacobs getting one. I'm confident they're going to get 3 touchdowns. I think, not confident, but I think this is going to be almost a shootout type football game tonight at Lambeau Field. I think both offenses get going against both of these defenses, and it very well could come down to who has the ball last at the end. But if this game ends and we're here tomorrow on a Green and Gold Tuesday, and we're talking about the Packers scoring 3 points and getting drilled, then there's going to be red flags about Matt LaFleur's offense and Matt LaFleur. You don't even have to wait till tomorrow. You can call the Green Bay Football postgame show tonight and hear Tommy Wirtz yelling and screaming over there about Matt LaFleur's offense if they only get 3 points. But I fully expect this offense to cook a little bit tonight and score some points.
Yeah, that leads into my confident a little bit, and I'll bring it up to you. I'm confident that Romeo Doubs is going to be this leading receiver today for the Green Bay Packers. After losing Tucker Kraft, I am yet to believe in this. I've banned the phrase Matthew Golden breakout week on the Mason Crosby show already because we've heard it already. And what's the same thing week in and week out? Romeo Doubs is Jordan Love's guy. He just continues to feed him the football, no matter if he is the number one option or not on paper for this Packers team. But he continues to be the man that Jordan Love relies on to pick up key third downs, to just get first downs. He's never really big play threat down with Romeo Doubs, but I am confident that with a wide receiver room that's banged up a little bit right now and losing their number one option in Tucker Kraft, that Romeo Doubs is going to be a guy that Jordan Love and this Packers offense relies on heavily against Philadelphia tonight.
I'll tell you something else that doesn't bode well if we're talking about concerns going into this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have allowed the second fewest yards to tight ends in the National Football League this year. 261 yards. The only one playing better against tight ends this year are the Buffalo Bills. So if we're looking to get Luke Musgrave on track and establish him as being that middle of the field guy, because, hey, man, if they don't play cover 2, if they don't, I would be absolutely shocked and befuddled that Vic Fangio doesn't play cover 2 in this game, because it all lays out to do just that. Keep everything in front of you. Don't let Watson be too deep and make Jordan Love have to throw everything underneath. Well, how do you beat cover 2? Tight end in the middle, sitting down in the middle of the coverage, right? That's how you beat cover 2. They have done a very good job against tight ends this year. So that could make for a little bit more rough sledding for the Green Bay Packers and trying to get Luke Musgrave going, which I think in a perfect world right now, you would love to see Luke Musgrave with 6 or 7 catches by the end of the night for 70 or 80 yards and to establish himself now as, Tucker Kraft is gone, but you're still going to have to contend with me in this Packers offense. And it would allow Matt LaFleur to open up this Packers offense if they can establish Luke Musgrave in this game.
Yeah. So is that your concerned in this one? Did you move on from there with Luke Musgrave being a part of it there?
I don't know if it's my official concern, but it's something that I thought of while you were talking. And I was like, I wonder how they are against tight ends, because you talk about Matthew Golden having that game. I'm with you. Like, I want Matthew Golden to have a bust out game. But in my mind, I was thinking, Musgrave is really the guy they need to get going to establish that tight end position, because everybody feels like there's going to be this huge drop off. He ain't going to be a part of the offense, and they're going to have to go with a wide receiver route or something along those lines to make up for it. And that's why I looked up to see where Philly was against tight ends while you were talking. And it's towards the bottom. And believe this or not, the Packers are in like the bottom third of the league as well. They've only allowed 410 yards to tight ends this year, too. So both teams play very well against the tight ends. But I think it's more critical for the Packers to get Musgrave going right now than maybe even more so than Matthew Golden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. When you go back to look at his numbers from that rookie season where he was starting to get some action, he had 34 grabs for 352 yards, just 1 touchdown on the season. I'm really worried about it because he is a completely different tight end than Tucker Kraft, right? With the Tucker Kraft really evolving his versatility and his ability to be that vertical weapon for Green Bay. That is what Luke Musgrave was supposed to be when coming into the Packers organization. However, the run after catch ability is a huge edge towards Tucker Kraft, and as well as the blocking tight end he needs to be. in the run game, which hasn't looked all that good already this season with Josh Jacobs and that offensive line playing at a lower level than they were last year. That really gets me concerned about Luke Musgrave taking over that role for Tucker Kraft.
You know, it's interesting because I've talked about this in the past. So when Sam Cassell was the point guard of the Milwaukee Bucks, Sam Cassell was a shoot-first point guard, right? Back in the day when there weren't as many shoot-first point guards. But Sam Cassell, when he was with Glenn and Ray, was very deliberate on, I need to get them a couple of baskets so they could see the ball go in. Once I get them going, then I'll find my own throughout the rest of the game. But I want Glenn to get an easy basket right around the rim. I want Ray to knock down an open shot and get them going. If I'm Matt LaFleur and I'm running this offense right now, who is that guy that I want to get going early in this game to establish things? Is it Matthew Golden? Is it Christian Watson trying to stretch the field early and hitting him on a deep play? Is it Luke Musgrave? For me, I'm just going to continue to ride that Musgrave train. That's where I'm trying to get a couple easy plays. And you watch these games over the weekend, folks, it's frustrating, man. Like, I sat there, and it's most of you or some of you may or may not know, I'm a Colts fan as well. So Colts in the AFC, Packers in the NFC. And you watch that Colts offense that Shane Steichen runs, and you're watching them run things on that offense. You're like, oh, yeah, Packers used to run that. Oh, yeah, I remember when LaFleur did that. You read the Tush Push article today that Rob Domofsky wrote on ESPN. Did you read it?
I have not seen it yet, no.
In 2023, they ran their version of the Tush Push and were successful 4 or 5 times. Haven't ran it since. Why? Because they decided they were going to be against it, so we can't run it if we're going to be against it? How stupid.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, oh, I remember the one time it didn't work. Who cares, man? Like, if it was working for you, why would you abandon it? Like, that doesn't make any sense. The whole play act, roll right on the bootleg with your tight end rolling with you in a little 4 or 5 yard pass. Why wouldn't you run that with Tucker Kraft? With his ability to make people miss, why wouldn't you run that? Everybody goes left, you roll right, boom. Kraft beats one guy and off to the races he goes. They don't do that. I mean, there are so many little things where you look at and go, man, you start stacking these little things on top of another, all of a sudden they're drive extenders, they're first down makers, and you continue to keep moving the football. Those are the things that you want to see Matt LaFleur bring back. What about the jet sweep? Give the ball to Matthew Golden, let him go. They haven't run that either.
That can lead into my concerned official title is that this comes down to a coaching matchup. That's where I get concerned. So if this is a shootout, then you would probably lean that you have faith that Matt LaFleur is going to be clicking on all cylinders and the offense is going to be moving itself very well this evening against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, in these close game scenarios, I'm looking at it right now, and I give Matt LaFleur one win because of what he did against Arizona. I was one of the first guys to say that was something you have to credit Matt LaFleur in making a very positive play and positive impact on the football season to go for it on 4th down and win the football game. However, if you look at Carolina and you look at Cleveland, he doesn't have this track record of like, I love when he's in the crunch time. I love when it's a coach versus coach battle on the field. And when it's, Andy Reid or Bill Belichick, you knew those moments were going to happen. Now we're talking about some of the greatest coaches of all time, but Nick Sirianni is the Super Bowl winning coach. So he did make those decisions last year. And I'm concerned because it's the first time I've really felt in my gut that I'm worried about it when it's Matt LaFleur coaching dueling against the guy across the sideline because he hasn't had some of the great battles with it. If the game does get out of hand, then it looks like it goes in their favor, right? Matt LaFleur has a great day. But if it's a close game, like a lot of these are in the NFL, did you hear the Mason Crosby show talking about the line, how much that moved already now? It went from 3 in favor of Green Bay to now a half point in favor of Philadelphia. This is going to be a close battle, and that does concern me a little bit with Matt LaFleur on the sidelines for Green Bay this year.
I'll say this. I don't think there's any chance the Packers blow out the Eagles. 0. I think there's a chance the Eagles blow out the Packers, and I think there's a chance that either one win on the last drive of the game. Mm-hmm. But I really don't see a world in where Green Bay just runs it up on them and throws up, 35-3 or something. I don't see that happening. We're going to talk about my concern going into this game. My concern is the Packer defensive line. Like, That's where I'm at. And you could talk about the offensive line if you want for the Packers too, either one. But for me, the Packers defensive line is my concern for two reasons. Number one, if Jeff Hafley comes into this as coordinator and says, okay, we're going to play to stop Saquon, and I don't want Jalen Hurts to beat us. So I'm not going to get overly aggressive, blitzing or doing anything crazy. I want to make sure everything stays in front of us, make sure our linebackers are in position to make stops on Barkley, maybe a run blitz here or there, but that's going to be the extent of it. And that's pretty much what he tried to do against Carolina, and they got torched. That's my concern. If I'm being honest, I'd much rather them be ultra aggressive, bringing the house from all different angles. And if they get beat once or twice on a big play, fine, I'll live with it. But if that means I hit Jalen Hurts 4 or 5 more times than I would just standing around watching, then yeah, that's my approach, because I don't think Devontae Wyatt's getting 2 sacks, 3 sacks in this game, winning his one-on-one matchup. I don't think Rashawn Gary's getting 2 or 3 sacks in this game, winning his one-on-one matchup. And I would have to imagine Philadelphia is probably going to double team Micah Parsons a fair amount of time, which means he's going to have problems getting to Jalen Hurts too. They're going to have to bring pressure, whether that's bringing Quay, bringing Cooper, blitzing McKinney, or whoever, whatever they're going to decide to do. They've got to get creative with how they want to produce pressure. Because if not, again, A.J. Brown's coming back. He hasn't played in weeks. You don't think he wants to have a monster game after all the little controversy going on with him and that him and that Eagles offense with Sirianni and Hurts and all that? He definitely wants to go have a big game. So that's my concern, is they're going to be very vanilla and bland, trying not to give up a big play.
Can I make an honorable mention concern that could lead into a curious, the kicking game for Green Bay? I don't know if we should be on full-blown concern right now, because there's still some stuff going out on Twitter right now about how McManus is battling through this injury, and his quad is tight, and now it's going to be cold and terrible kicking conditions in Green Bay tonight, more than likely, and the Packers are rocking out there with a guy with a broken wing right now on his leg. So I don't know if I'm quite curious about it. I think I'm leaning more towards concerned if that comes down to it tonight too, Spark.
Could be. I mean, if it's a close game and he misses a field goal at the end, then yeah, that's going to be the talk of the post-game show. Why is he out there? Cut McManus. We're going to have kicker drama again that I thought we solved in the second half of last year, and then they signed into a long-term deal. And I do not care if that dude misses a field goal tonight or not. I am not going to be asking for them to kick him. I will be suggesting that maybe they should rest him for a week or two and get him healthy, because like every other player seemingly on this team, they continue to rush guys out when clearly it appears they're not ready, and then get re-injured or are trying to play through a tremendous amount of pain like Zach Tom has been. That is the thing for me that I get frustrated with. They go from ultra conservative with Dr. McKenzie and guys getting mad that they sat out 2 weeks longer than they should have because they wanted to be out there. But you didn't have guys getting re-hurt unless it was a hamstring. Then we saw hamstring injuries over and over again. But outside of that, you didn't have all this other stuff going on, man. And that is something to definitely keep your eye on going forward. Then, did you hear LaFleur, by the way? LaFleur, you guys made too much out of my kicker competition comment that I made. So I think that was on Saturday. You must be joking. You are the one that said it was a competition. Oh, we'll see who kicks best this week. Competition. I am wondering whether or not he even planned on playing McManus tonight. I wonder if it's not going to be McManus, and they'll say, Calf's acting up. He's not going to be able to kick, and they're going to go back to their other guy. Because that's one way to save face with him. Yeah. If they want to make a move, this is one way to save face and say, hey, he's not healthy.
Why are there 2 kickers on the active roster?
There should not be.
Why are there 2 kickers?
Agreed.
It's just a joke.
Yes.
That is you leaning into the joke. Correct. That is the Green Bay Packers history of special teams.
Yes.
You had one solid option for 16 years that you were relying on in Mason Crosby, and then in the meantime, during that whole thing, do you know when the last time there was a punt return for a touchdown for Green Bay? It's been 11 years now since then, back when Micah Hyde had the return touchdown in 2014. Like this team, we all know that that's the butt of the joke of the Green Bay Packers is how the special teams is awful. They never figure it out. Fire Bisaccia was happening way before Fire LaFleur was happening. And now they're just leaning into it again by not making a decision on the kicker. Either take a guy who you think is better or just cut one of them because you have to at this point. 2 active kickers on the roster, plus their international pathway player, Mark McNamee, who everyone's supposed to hear about. He's sitting on a roster spot too now because he's a kicker as well. Like, this is a joke for Green Bay.
It's not LaFleur's fault. You can blame whoever you want, but it's not LaFleur's fault. It's Gutekunst's fault. Gutekunst is the one that's allowing this to occur. He's a damn general manager. He could just say, this is silly. I'm not having 2 kickers in my active roster. Make up your minds and let's move.
Yes.
Like, this is on him for doing this. And if the reason is, well, he's not healthy, then why has he been playing the last 2 weeks, man? Then he shouldn't have been playing. If you're keeping this as a backup because you think he could get hurt at any point again, then he shouldn't be playing. He should be watching. He still gets a paycheck. It ain't like you're screwing the guy out of a paycheck. It's not like it's a part-time employee. When he gets a day off, he doesn't get paid. He gets paid regardless if he's playing or not at this point. Just be done with it. All right. Anyways, so we'll see what happens there. That was confident. That was concerned. What are you curious about? You can hop aboard as well. Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Socials, WI Sports Radio. Follow us on X and YouTube as we stream live. Tommy Wirtz in for Charlie Usen today. I'll say what I'm curious about. That was your curious or no?
I was kind of leaning to it. If you want me to give another one, I'm curious if Charlie's going to cheer tonight or if he's just going to be there sitting.
No. Yeah, he said he was going to buy Packer gear.
You got to relinquish Chicago, Charlie. You got to relinquish it.
I was like, there is no way. He said, I think I would get a Packer hat or a stocking cap or something. I'm like, there's no way. He's like, you've been to Wrigley. I go, yeah. He goes, you didn't root for the Cubs when they weren't playing the Bears? Like, hell no. No chance. No. I root for the Cubs, the Bulls, the Bears, the White Sox. Nobody, man. No. I'm buying their garbage. No, it's not happening. Like, no. And he's like, I think I'm gonna buy a Packer hat. He goes,
Could you imagine
how you go to a stadium and not root for the home team, I believe is what he said. I was like, there's no chance.
There's no shot you're going to a random Bears versus
what I would pay to see Brandon Snide from the 9 to noon show at Soldier Field wearing a Bear stocking cap. Oh, what I would pay to see that.
Yeah, I think he would implode. I think that would happen. Or he'd just vomit until the hat came off.
You think I'm crazy. That dude, he's way over the top crazier fan than I am. All right, I'll tell you what I'm curious about. I'm curious going into this game to see just how aggressive Matt LaFleur is going to be on 4th down again coming up tonight. That's what I'm curious about. All the flack that he keeps getting for going for it on 4th down, not kicking field goals. Will Matt LaFleur continue to be this aggressive on 4th down situations tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles? If you watch the rest of the NFL games yesterday, or just a few of them, dude, everybody in this league is going for 4th downs at a crazy high rate right now. Shane Steichen going for it over and over and over. The Bears, everybody is going for 4th downs at a crazy high rate. This isn't a Matt LaFleur issue. This is an NFL issue. They're all doing the same thing at this point. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do. Because if he thinks this is going to be a shootout, then it's going to be, I'm going for it because I need touchdowns. Field goals ain't going to win this game. That's going to be the logic. If he thinks it's going to be nip and tuck, which Carolina was, and he still went for it, then you would think he would take the points if he can get the points on a night like it's going to be tonight in Green Bay, which is cold.
Well, it'll also tie into the McManus, right? It ties into that as well. If he's healthy enough, like in these weather conditions in which it's going to be in the 30s and it's going to be cold and gross out, I can't imagine we're going to see a lot of 55-yarders attempted tonight in Lambeau. Right. It's just not going to be a part of it. But last week, not taking the points with 11 minutes left proved to be costly for Matt LaFleur and Green Bay. So now does he double down on this? Would you rather him double down on this, not going for it versus not going for it? Or do you want to shift in the opposite direction because last week's decision didn't appease you?
He is Tommy Wirtz, the Sparky Fiver with you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Coming up on the other side, we're going to switch gears to the Wisconsin Badgers, but still to come, Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel at 3:20. Paul Bretl from ESPN Lacrosse confirmed he'll join us coming up at 4:20. So Mark Stewart at 3:20, Paul Bretl at Lambeau. He'll be joining us coming up at 4:20. I got to give Charlie Houston credit. I gave him credit on Twitter. He called a Badgers win. I laughed at him. I'm pretty sure Tommy laughed at him. And he was right. They got the win. What's your biggest takeaway from that game? Because I have a bunch. That's coming up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. And don't forget, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. They didn't win yesterday, but they play again tonight against Dallas. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast and get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. And I got to be honest, man. I am in this type of mood right here, man. This is the mood I'm in right now. Right now. I told Tommy before the show, I said, so you know, man, I'm feeling off. I don't know what's wrong with me. Just feeling a little off today, a little different.
Yeah.
Snapping on people left and right today. It's been one of those days, man.
That's for the people who don't already know that you're already a little off as a person.
Yes.
Like so
well,
when
if you listen to this show, they know that.
So like if you're feeling off already,
yeah,
I'm walking on eggshells today. I'm making sure that everything goes smoothly for Mr. Spark. That's my plan.
I already bit off one dude's head almost today.
Well, great. I only have 5 more hours left with you.
Yes,
so,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a busy day between Wisconsin Sports Daily today, Green Bay football post-game show immediately following the game today. Like, it's going to be all Tommy and Sparky all day, it feels like.
Good luck. Okay, not making me mad, and I'm still stunned by this one. Stunned that they won a football game in the Big Ten Conference play, part of their schedule this year, the Wisconsin Badgers. And he threw for more yards than any Badger quarterback.
How about the 2 most electric plays of the entire season?
Yes.
Are fake punts this year.
Correct.
I mean, the 2 best drawn up plays for the Badgers on offense comes from the punter. He has not only had a game in which he led this past weekend in passing yards for the team, but has also led the team in rushing yards in a game as well this season.
Yep.
Sean West, like, shout out to him. What a great season he's having, right?
Yes, exactly. So here comes the transfer portal, I'm sure, for Sean West. I don't even know what year he is, but either way, it doesn't matter. Look, I want to know this. What was the biggest takeaway for the Badgers' first Big Ten victory over Washington? Let's be happy. Let's be joyful. Let's talk positive about the Wisconsin Badgers. They haven't given us a reason all year. Now we have a reason. Let's see if we can be happy for a little bit. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, streaming live on X and on Twitter at WI Sports Radio. If you listen to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, whether you're in Wausau, 93.9 The Game, 710 The Game in Duluth Superior, WNFL in Green Bay, 99.7 FM, or in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, you know 2 of the most angriest guys about the Badger program. You're listening to both of us right now.
Yes.
Tommy Wirtz and myself have been just mad and angry at this football program for months. And he and I both stunned that they were able to win that football game. Now, there's a couple of things that I'm curious about. What took so long to play freshmen? Wait. Why did it take this long? He needed a public vote of confidence that Luke Fickell from Chris McIntosh before he wanted to play freshmen. Furthermore, after the game was over, Luke Fickell himself pretty much said, didn't really want to play Carter Smith at quarterback. Didn't really want to go down that way. Talking about O'Neal, he said he thought he had the torn ACL. But this is the thing. I don't care if that kid can throw it 5 yards. What he gives you with his swag and his confidence and the ability to run and break some tackles and that type of stuff and how you can change what this offense looks like, I'm here for it. They could have done this a couple of weeks ago. I would have been completely fine with it, trying to save red shirt or whatever they were trying to do. But that dude, that's your quarterback. I don't need you to go into the portal. I don't need you to go spend more money on a quarterback next year. Show me you can develop somebody and go develop this kid in the offseason and say, you're my guy, Carter. We're going to ride and die together next year, baby. And you are my quarterback. You're not a portal quarterback, so you're not going to get hurt. Unlike every other guy, you're a recruit. You're going to be my guy. Here we go. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and honestly, it's the first time Hunter Simmons has outperformed a quarterback on the field all season. It just happened to be on his own team. Carter Smith only 3 for 12 for 8 yards.
Don't care.
8 yards. I understand what you're saying with his rushing ability, what it gives to the team, but Danny O'Neal had some of that too this year. He was a guy that just gets hurt every time he runs the football.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you. And Carter Smith having a game like that to lead a team and do as much as he could, like running the football in for the only touchdown of the game for the Badgers. Like, this is a team that this step while you're arguing it should have been pulled a long time ago, it could
as
have
soon
been
as you knew the season was over,
right.
Like you should have played them.
You need to know what you have, and they did it on the defensive side, and they've struck gold. It feels like.
Posa and Catalano.
I've told them when we had Jocko on the Mason Crosby show earlier today, priority number one now is making sure those two guys are retained for this team. Because
Posa after the game was like, I'm going to be here for a while, and we're about turning this thing around.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people were caught off guard in Carson Beck leaving Georgia, right? Like that's the high profile extent of this. But now it's the number one priority. This is a team that is said now they're going to put a significant investment into the team next year. But that starts with retaining players now in today's college football. And Posa and Cooper, those guys can ball. I mean, Cooper just was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week today. Mason Posa had the great game yesterday. And, of course, against Oregon in the weeks prior. I think that this team has proven that they are a Big Ten defense. They've had games where on the defensive side, they've looked like they've kept the offense in the game. They've kept the team as a whole surrounding their opponent. But the offense is just so putrid. And maybe a little bit of spark out of Ituka, like what he brings, like maybe he can be a guy, but
he's just a big dude that runs over people.
He runs hard. He's
not Dane.
He shows heart out there. Yeah. That's something we haven't seen from this team at some point. But when Ituka runs, it looks like he's running to keep that job that he's been given right now. So I give it out to him. He looks great. Carter Smith, I'm not like this guy's the savior after that game, but hey.
I'm sick of transfer portal quarterbacks. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
You recruited them, play them. Let's see if your coaches can actually, providing your offensive coordinator doesn't leave for another job, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Why?
Jeff Grimes. He was at Kansas for 1 year and left Kansas to come here. Hold on. Not for more money, I don't believe either. So I don't know what this dude's deal is, but I wouldn't put a whole bunch of faith that he's going to be here. Considering how bad this looks, they don't have any potential to speak of. See, I'm being negative again. I'm trying to be positive.
No, it's
Stop,
fine.
Sparky.
Get after it.
Let's move on. My other thing about this is the other big takeaway from this is they didn't quit on Fickell. They could have just said, to hell with it. He's back. It's over. Like, we're done. We're just playing this out. I'm just trying to get out of here, get myself into the portal, and I'm out. That team has not quit on Luke Fickell. That probably is his biggest achievement all year long, other than getting rid of that stupid team vest. That is probably his biggest accomplishment all year long, that they continue to play hard. They didn't come apart on the inside, and that's damn impressive, man. Just like when LaFleur's first year with Jordan Love as a starter, and they were horrible the first half of the year. They didn't quit on him, and they turned it around. And I gave him a lot of credit for that. Fickell deserves credit for this.
Absolutely. Anton in the dugout chat. Badgers played tough this past Saturday, full kiddos to them, but I still don't trust Fickell developing players in the program. That's just my take. He doesn't have a great track record of NFL talent on his tenure with Wisconsin, but he's only been there 3 years, right? So these are kind of his guys getting into it. But I do think that's the biggest takeaway, and you nailed it right there, Spark, is that this was such an easy team to give up on, because the fan base had already done it based on the attendance at games and attendance for Jump Around. The communities around us, sports radio guys, also giving up on this team.
Everybody but the AD and the Chancellor.
And that was maybe the most positive thing that could have come from it. Now, is that something? I was one of the guys watching this saying, like, you know what? Let's see one go through. Like, I'm glad that they won this game. I root for them. I know that their season's pretty much over already next week when they won't be bowl eligible after they get trounced by Indiana. But to have that one go through, I don't know if I was excited to see that, or if I should have been rooting, if I want this, leadership out of control, like, should I have been rooting for them to lose during this game?
No, because they already said Fickell was staying. Makes no sense to have them lose at this point when you know the head coach is staying. I think the other part about this, storming the field, man. For beating a number 23 ranked team. They kept showing the stands, and you got like 40 dudes, whatever it was, it grew as the game went on, with their shirts off in the snow out there playing, right? You've got nothing but empty bleachers around them. Nothing but empty bleachers. Like, that is, to me, the biggest shake your head moment of the whole thing of like, man, look at all those kids that decided to hell with it. I'm not going. And we're not wasting our time going there for 3 hours to watch the Badgers play.
In bad weather.
And people got on the Badgers about, I can't believe they're storming the field. I think Melvin Gordon was like, really? We're storming the field after that? That's where we are, with a crying laughing emoji. But dude, I don't blame him for storming the field, to be honest with you. I mean, Fickle, you could see Fickle's eyes welling up with tears when he was doing the interview on the field after the game. That was a big, big moment for that program. Now, how do they respond after this and how do they finish? We'll see. I agree with you. They're not going to beat Indiana, but you go out beating Minnesota on that last game. That gives you some momentum going into the offseason against that twerp in Minnesota.
PJ Fleck.
Yes.
I'm 100% with you. It didn't even really feel like a storm the field because of this win. It did feel like storm the field because
weight of the world is off.
Yeah, yes. They didn't give up on him, right? It was a lot more of a coming together, it felt like, than it was a storming the field during that ceremony. And I have no problem with it either.
All right, coming up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. New segment we're debuting today. We'll do it Monday through Friday. Botched moment of the day. Lots to pick from yesterday, especially with a slate of NFL games. So we'll get into that coming up, as well as the Bucs signed a former NBA All-Star to a G League, the G League Wisconsin Herd team. I put out a tweet and I was met with distaste from some of you Bucs fans about what I had to say about it. So we'll discuss that as well. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And let me tell you about my good friends over there at Potawatomi. You know I love Potawatomi. Potawatomi is giving away over $300,000 in prizes. It's autumn action. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn action runs November 1st through the 20th, and you can earn entries playing with your rewards card. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8 p.m. If you win, you get to pick your prize from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a rewards member to play.
It's time for the botched moment of the day. Bad call, dropped pass, horrible coaching. Did someone say the wrong thing? Let's get to it on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, botched moment of the day. Tommy Wirtz is all over it.
Yeah, yesterday, while the NFL was in Germany, mind you, with a bunch of brand new football fans that they're trying to get into the sport.
That was a Colts fan base, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, there were way more Colts fans there.
Yeah, maybe Jones is a more German last name than Penix is. I don't know the origin story.
Pfeiffer is.
But Clete Blakeman with maybe one of the worst descriptions on how to end a football game in regulation.
The timeout to delay the 10-second runoff. So there is a 10-second runoff, plus they offer to wind the clock so it really ends the game at this point. End of regulation, we'll roll to overtime.
So again, I mean, I'm not sure what he said there. He said that they're going to go to overtime. But if they're going to properly enforce this, they should have reset the clock to 11 seconds, because that's what it was.
Yes.
And
Please put 1 second on the game clock.
There it is, Mike. You're waiting for it, and right on cue. There were 11 seconds on the clock when that ball ends up being ruled dead. So we know it's a grounding penalty, which would lead to a 10-second runoff. 11 seconds when the ball hits the ground. So let's say there's the 10-second runoff, which Atlanta apparently was fine with. So then you get to 1 second on the clock. And that's what Mike was walking us through. Any penalty inside. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
And really now, since they took the 10-second runoff, now you would actually wind the clock when the ball is ready for play. So then the 1 second would run off. That's since they accepted that 10-second runoff.
Yeah, I have no idea what Clete Blakeman said still.
Neither does he.
And it's got to be rough when Mike Pereira is on national television just telling you, yeah, one of the referees is just completely doing this wrong now.
This is the thing. That wasn't the only mistake. So then they come to the overtime coin flip, and he screwed that up. Because what ends up happening is the Colts, Blakeman declared was the visiting team and allowed the Colts to choose heads or tails for overtime. The Colts won the toss and elected to receive. Then they go to commercial. We come out and the Falcons are getting the ball. Why? Because the Colts were the home team and the Colts are designated as the home team in Burlington. That means the Falcons get to choose. They had to redo the coin flip in the commercial break. The Falcons won and then chose to get the ball. So multiple issues there. The public aspect of speaking to everybody in a stadium with thousands and thousands of fans, I think everybody takes for granted that they're never going to make a mistake and they're always going to get it right. But like being on the radio, if you say something wrong and you have a misstep, social media is there to correct you quickly, right? You know this. So it's no different in that aspect. That is a pressure-filled situation when that microphone goes on and you have to talk.
Yeah, I think that I could do it. I think I could do it, though. I'm not worried about it. That Clete, you would know his face if you look him up, too.
I did.
You've seen him before on the NFL fields for sure, but that was a rough one, and especially doing it in front of an audience who doesn't really know the rules of football the same way an American audience would, right? Like, had to be the first botch moment of the week.
Sports Talk on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, presented by Paramount Plus, streaming November 16th on Paramount Plus. It's the return of Landman. From Taylor Sheridan, co-creator of Yellowstone, Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton is back, featuring Academy Award-winning nominees Demi Moore, Andy Garcia, and Sam Elliott. Landman. New season streaming November 16th only on Paramount Plus. We did not get to the Bucs topic there, so that'll have to wait till things that we missed coming up later in the show at 4:40. Coming up next, back to the Packers we go. Before we get to Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer, coming up at 3:20. Who on the Packers is feeling the most pressure heading into tonight's game against the Eagles? This should be some interesting answers. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Here you are on a Monday, game day, as we broadcast live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Other side of the glass, Tommy Wirtz filling in for Charlie Hughes and him and his girl at the Packers game tonight at Lambeau Field. Looking forward to tonight, Green Bay football post-game show, powered by Lakeland University with Tommy Wirtz and myself this evening. Immediately following that game, we'll be on 10:30 to midnight tonight, so tune in for that after Green Bay and Philly. Some news from Green Bay. Packers have elevated linebacker Christian Welch from the practice squad to the active roster for game day. No surprise there. He's their special teams guy and linebacker, so not too surprising in that latest move from the Green Bay Packers. Coming up this hour, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Today it'll be Tommy's Sounds of the Day. Coming up at 3:40. At 3:20, Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, will join us. And now we will continue to talk about that Packers-Eagles game. Coming up tonight, who on the Packers is feeling the most pressure heading into tonight's game versus the Philadelphia Eagles? Who's feeling the most pressure, whether it be on the field, whether it be off the field, anybody in the organization, whoever it may be, who's feeling the most pressure? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Do you realize that the Green Bay Packers have never beaten Jalen Hurts?
I did not know that.
No. Nick Sirianni has never lost to the Green Bay Packers. He is 4-0, I want to say, against the Green Bay Packers.
That's a number. 4 is a number. That's a lot. It was twice last year, right? So Week 1 and the last week of the season.
Correct.
He not only started your season on a bad note, but finished it on a bad note, right?
Well, you finished it on a bad note. You had like 4 turnovers in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
you did that to yourself. I mean, we can say whatever you want about Philadelphia, but John Kuhn was talking about earlier today. I think it was John Kuhn or was it Wayne Larrivee? I don't know. Either was Wayne Larrivee this morning with Trevor and Josh, or was Kuhn. Somebody said, maybe it was Matt Schneidman. I'm so confused. This is what happens. You listen to every show on the station all day. You get confused what the heck you're listening to.
And when you're out of it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, when you feel off.
Correct.
Right. Doesn't help.
But somebody made the very relevant point that you know and I know, which is, hey, man, if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win a lot of games. They did not win the turnover battle the last time they faced the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's obviously something that has to happen tonight. Having said that, to me, the most pressure is on Matt LaFleur in this game. That's where the most pressure is. Because it feels like, without knowing for certain, and those of you listening on WNFL in Green Bay, 99.7 FM, who maybe know Ed Policy, probably know more about this than I do, but it feels like he might be a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more businesslike than maybe Mark Murphy, who was more relatable to everybody and more understanding, had a lot of patience to get through different situations, like Bob Harlan was prior to him. It doesn't feel necessarily like Ed Policy may be that way. I could be reading the room wrong. Maybe he is like that, but it doesn't feel like he is. And I just have this feeling that, hey, man, if you lose to the Eagles in the regular season and then you go and lose to them again in the postseason, then he may just look at that and go, hey, man, you did a hell of a job and you're going to be great wherever you go after this, but we got to beat Philadelphia, and I got to figure out who can come in here to help this team beat Philadelphia to get this team to a Super Bowl. I think there is pressure on Matt LaFleur from that regard to show that, yes, his team can beat Nick Sirianni's team. I think that is a big deal right now, especially when you start talking about the Packers front office at this point in time.
Yeah, and if you start looking at a lot of what people are saying in the fan community of it, you would, if you ask this question every week, it's going to be Matt LaFleur, no matter on the result the week before or the predictions that come the weeks after. Matt LaFleur is under a big microscope, and especially going up against a team like Philadelphia, in which you're in a season right now that Green Bay has played either up to the level of an opponent or down to the level of an opponent every single week, it feels like right now. And if he is to continue that trend, it should be a great game against Philadelphia. And if Matt LaFleur, if it comes down to coaching decisions and late clock management, game management on how this should go against Philadelphia, 100% the most pressure is on Matt LaFleur. But can I interest you in a different coach on this team, in one Jeff Hafley, to have maybe some of the most pressure on him? Because hear me out, Sparky.
Right, go ahead.
This is a guy who right now, last week, Micah Parsons was virtually taken out of a football game. He was not good. He did not have a sack. He did not have a pressure against the Carolina Panthers. If you cannot draw something up to get your $188 million man some more pressures at minimum and more of an impact on a football game, this is a guy that everyone thought, oh, Jeff Hafley doesn't shower, right? Oh, Jeff Hafley, he doesn't like babies, whatever it is, to make up these excuses so that he will stay. This could be make or break for Jeff Hafley in a lot of millions of dollars on one side or the other. If he is going to have a great performance against the defending Super Bowl champions, against an offense that Jalen Hurts can move, they have one of the best runners in the game in Saquon Barkley and options on the outside. If he can shut that down today, he will re-enter those conversations. And if he ultimately flops, he becomes a lot less appealing, I think, to other teams in need of a head coach.
Got a lot of stuff going on right now in the YouTube chat and on Twitter. If you want to get involved, feel free. We're streaming live at WI Sports Radio on X, on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook too. Asking you who on the Packers are feeling the most pressure heading tonight's game versus the Eagles. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. If we're being honest, nobody's got a bigger target on their back than Jeff Hafley. Not that he's feeling pressure, but because of your front office and Micah Parsons and everybody being anti-tush push and everything else, you don't think Philadelphia wants to run this against you 5 million times tonight? Do you realize the first year they ran this thing, they were like 92, 93% success rate against or for the tush push? Nobody could stop it. Now, I think this is year 3, year 4. It's less than 80% success rate now for the Philadelphia Eagles. Earlier this year, or was it last year? No, I think it was last year. Micah Parsons. No, was he watching it on TV this year? I think he was watching it on TV this year, week 6, Cowboys Giants, and he tweeted out that it pretty much has to go. Throw it out. That this should not be legal. And then he followed up on it this week, talking about all these offensive linemen that are getting early jumps, and you can't tell because all these dudes are up close to the line of scrimmage, and they're getting all these decided advantages. So Micah Parsons has a target on his back. Jeff Hafley didn't say a word about this, but because LaFleur has talked about it, Mark Murphy talked about it, and everybody else, now this defense also has a target on their back. If I was betting, over-unders at Potawatomi Sportsbook on how many tush pushes there'll be, I bet you there's at least 5 today from the Philadelphia Eagles, just trying to drive home a point against this Packers organization. And it really wouldn't surprise me at all. They're going to try and run this up because they clearly did not want to get rid of this or it taken away from them. They put the blame on them. Now, Rob Demovsky of ESPN and others have said, hey, man, that was the league asking the Packers to do them a solid and be the sponsor of this because there's not a singular owner for anybody to be mad at. So you go do it because they wanted to get rid of it. That very well may be the point. But from the Philadelphia Eagles standpoint, they do not care. I promise you, they do not care. And that's what this is going to be all about tonight in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would help Green Bay's argument if that happens to them, right? If it's a 3rd and 2 situation and then a back-to-back tush push to get a first down in favor, like it'd be equal parts frustrating and justifying, it feels like, for the Packers if that were to happen. I'm not really worried about the tush push. I think that this play is around for this season and then it's gone after that. I think there's a lot more wave to it now where people are upset about how the Eagles and now every other team is kind of, well, if you can't beat them, join them on it too. Except the Packers out of pure spite.
Yes.
It feels like. I don't understand why it's not run more often. I do think it's a terrible argument to say that it's not a football play. I think that it is exactly a football play. And they say, well, no, it derives from rugby. I'm like, that's where football comes from, people too. So you have to find some way other than like you can't push the guy in the back, because some of those are like the most exciting plays of a football game too, where a running back gets kind of holed up and then an offensive lineman comes out of nowhere, starts pushing him forward where he gets an extra 4, 5, 6, 7 yards, whatever it might be. I think that the play needs to be altered in where a guy under center can't be pushed forward or something like that. But I think that this Packers team, the tush push is inevitable. And so I have no worry about the play in general. If they lose because of the tush push, a lot bigger problems in Green Bay.
Who in the Packers is feeling the most pressure heading into tonight's game versus the Eagles? Nicolay Law Talk at text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. From the 414 on the Nicolay Law Talk at text line, the defense has given up 16 and 13 points and lost. Come on, Tommy. Be for real, man. LOL.
Look, I'm not saying that the defense has played poorly this year. I was saying it from a Jeff Hafley getting more money standpoint.
Yep.
You want to stand out, and the Giants need a head coach right now. You don't think it would really help that if you go into if the Philadelphia Eagles come to town and you are able to dominate them on the defensive side, why wouldn't the Giants be calling Jeff Hafley immediately? You play them 2 times a year.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy, you need something to go in and provide something different out in New York. If Jeff Hafley were to hold the Eagles to 13 points today, I think that would send a message to the NFC East.
I'm telling you right now, I would roast Joe Schoen if he hired a defensive coordinator to be that head coach. You have Jackson Dart. That should be an offensive play caller all day long.
They just rocked with an offensive play caller who drafted their quarterback.
I understand.
And meanwhile, Danny Jones is 7-2, chilling over in Indianapolis when he was in your backyard. You just had to try to win something with Russell Wilson, and he blew the game away right there as well. I don't think that offense is inevitable out there.
920 on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Why isn't Brian Gutekunst feeling more heat? He's the one who drafts players. He traded away Rasul Douglas. He passed on drafting Cooper DeJean. Ron Rome on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. First of all, as I said before, I didn't want Cooper DeJean, so I can't sit here and be a hypocritical. Oh, yeah, he should have drafted him. I didn't want him. I did want a corner. He wasn't one of the 2 corners that I wanted. I definitely did not want Jordan Morgan at that pick in that year's draft either. The Eagles ended up getting DeJean there in the second round. Could the Packers have moved up and got DeJean themselves? Probably, if they really liked him that much. But they obviously didn't. I don't think Brian Gutekunst is in any trouble. Brian Gutekunst will get a second head coach. If they move on from LaFleur, he will get a second head coach. That Micah Parsons deal pretty much solidified that that's his job going forward.
Well,
Tommy.
and his last 3 years of drafting. You go back to the 2022 draft, that was the one where we just went down and was like, oh my God, everyone's a starter on this team. Like, he's done a fine job, I think, assembling this team. And if you are a Jordan Love supporter, then you feel the same way about it too. Like, he's the guy who orchestrated getting Jordan Love to come to Green Bay. I have no complaints on what Brian Gutekunst has done. He has given the blueprint as to how to win football games with the personnel he's put out there. It's now time for the coaches that ultimately he's in charge of as well to execute that.
Streaming this bad boy live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. If you want to hop aboard, whether you may be listening in different parts of the country. I see somebody up there in the Dugout YouTube chat from California, right? Who is that?
GT Cuts Barbershop. Looks like it's a barbershop
what up,
LLC.
Man? Go Pack Go from LA. I like that. Got another one up there talking about the tush push as well.
Yes, from Chad. Once someone gets hurt with the tush push, then it will stop for good. You will see defenders giving helmet and forearm first soon. I think it's a good point too to bring up when you're talking about a league who wants to highlight all of this work and doctor studying they've done on head injuries and trauma too during this.
It's all crap.
Well,
it's all crap.
It's
not the concussion stuff, not the CTE stuff is crap. This whole health thing on this play is crap. How many guys have actually gotten hurt on this play? I don't think anybody has.
Didn't Kenny Clark kind of come out and say that last year? Wasn't that injury that was Kenny Clark that brought it up with this foot on here? Maybe it is.
Was the Packer that brought up the health of it. I'm shocked. Okay, outside of the Packer, do you know anybody else?
No, I don't have anyone else.
No.
But again, this is like helmet-to-helmet collisions from 10 different players at the same time.
Correct.
So now it could be more than that even too. There is going to be something to be said about if concussions were a problem with him. Maybe there isn't enough like speed or distance between them to have those type of impacts. But
It's like a field goal kick, isn't it?
I still think
Or a
that
goal line play?
I think that the rest of the league is just going to be fed up with the play. I don't think there needs to be any more evidence against this play. I think that it will just get banned in this offseason. It took one like nomination of it to get banned last year, and then it pushes itself through. It's kind of like a guy trying to make the Hall of Fame, right? Antonio Gates should have been in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't going to be a first ballot guy, apparently. So wait another year, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Should have been in the Hall of Fame. Coming up next, we hear from Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal. We celebrate a Badgers victory. The only Big Ten victory so far. That's straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bucks take on the Dallas Mavericks, who are not doing what everybody thought they'd be doing at this point. So hopefully we'll be talking about a Bucks win, because they didn't beat the Rockets yesterday. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. It did pay off. Highlight courtesy, what was that? Big Ten Network, I believe. Big Ten Network. Sir. They're on the call, and the Badgers stun everybody and upset number 23 Washington at Camp Randall on Saturday. Talk more about that here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Is Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, joins us now on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Stewart MJS. Mark, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm still surprised, to be honest with you. I still can't believe I watched them beat Washington. My producer, who's off today and tomorrow, Charlie Usen, said on Friday they were going to win that game, and we all laughed at him. Did you have any inkling going into that thing that they might be able to shock the world and pull the upset?
Well, I mean, I guess officially in my prediction, I think I said they were going to lose 24-10, but I did say that in order to have a chance, they were going to need, their defense or special teams to put their offense in good position to score some points. And that happened. And, if I wanted to take credit, which I'm not trying to, but in the preseason, I think when I listed who, Wisconsin's record, I put this game as a win. But obviously a lot had happened since, that was before the losing streak and all that other stuff. So I kind of hedge on both sides is what I'm getting at.
You've covered this team all year long. I think the thing I was most impressed with under this Fickell coaching staff this year is they haven't quit on them. They haven't lost the resolve. And you obviously saw it in that game coming on the heels of the announcement that Fickell was going to be back for next year by Chris McIntosh. That is a very tough thing to do when you have a horribly losing situation like they've had this year and really feeling the heat from the outside.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I think most of these guys have not, it's just been such a challenging year. I will say when you talk about their resolve, though, that, given the way their schedule's been, they faced Alabama on the road, they played Ohio State here. Obviously Iowa's tough. Their schedule's been so tough that I don't think at this point in the season anything is going to surprise these guys in terms of like the caliber of opponent they're playing, the level of talent that's going to be on the field. So, even though they've lost these games, they've been exposed to some really good football. And I think, it helped them in a game like Washington. They didn't come in and, I don't think they were overwhelmed. I mean, so I mean, obviously that was a positive. You look at what they did at Oregon 3 weeks ago, and I was just interested to see if Wisconsin was going to be able to not necessarily win, but at least build on that performance. And we saw it, so like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens these next 3 weeks. Can they get another win or two? Indiana looks pretty rugged. They look pretty tough. I think Wisconsin's a 30-point underdog going down there. So that game's going to be a challenge. But you got Illinois coming here. You got a trip to Minnesota Thanksgiving weekend. And, those could be winnable games.
Oh, to beat Brett Bielema would be amazing. How bad this year has been. It would make me just feel so much better about life if they beat Bielema. Mark, when we talk about this quarterback situation with everybody getting hurt, and now they lose O'Neal, I think Fickell indicated or hinted at a torn ACL possibly for him. And now you're down to your fourth quarterback, your freshman in Carter Smith. Well, again, passing numbers were bad, right? The punter threw for more yards than any of your quarterbacks did on that given day. But, I mean, you watch this guy, obviously, in fall practice and so forth. Tell everybody, what they can expect from him from a passing standpoint, because we all see he can run. We all see he's got some swag to him, which I appreciate considering, what they've been through this year to have somebody with that type of confidence and leadership ability. But what about from a throwing perspective?
I mean, honestly, as someone who watched every, fall camp practice, I mean, he's a solid thrower, but you never know until those guys start getting in there with the number ones and the number twos and seeing how they handle those situations. And that wasn't Carter Smith in fall camp. He was mostly with the, third team, if they were running scout team stuff. I mean, obviously he's got some arm talent. I know the coaches like that about him. But like what kind of quarterback is he going to be? It's going to be interesting. I mean, will his passing game, evolve and kind of show more as he gets more snaps and maybe gets a little more time in the system is going to be a key piece of, what Wisconsin has as a quarterback. I mean, is he going to be a dual threat guy, or is he going to be more of the, traditional Wisconsin quarterback that can do some good things, but maybe has some flaws too?
No, I don't know. No. Don't even bring that up. Don't tell Luke Fickell you just said that about traditional sit back there and not run. No. We don't want that. I've seen him run. That he ran good enough for me. My thing is that you just pointed out, I mean, a lot of this very well could just simply be he hasn't played with these guys. He doesn't have the chemistry built with these guys because he hasn't even practiced with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, they do some stuff. They mix it up a little bit. But like you say, yeah, when it comes to, especially at this time of year, after fall camp, everything's kind of geared toward getting ready for the opponent. So, some of the blending of teams that you might see in fall camp, you don't get that stuff once the season starts. You don't get that stuff a lot, maybe during the bye week. So my guess is that, Carter Smith wasn't getting a lot of work with, Vinny Anthony,
right,
or Trish Kahuna, until these last couple weeks. So, like I said, it's, he's evolving. I mean, I guess that's the thing. I think when, these last couple weeks, the question was coming up of, okay, when is Carter Smith going to get a chance to play? I mean, and these were questions that, Luke was starting to get asked about during press conferences. And, basically he just kind of said, you just can't throw the guy out there. You got to kind of, come up with some things that work for the guy. I will say this: Carter Smith as your starting quarterback, the offense is going to look a lot different than if Billy Edwards was your starting quarterback. Sure. I think this offense has the ability to kind of, mold itself into different, looking different based on who's running it. So, I think I think we got a little taste of that last week with a lot more running plays, a lot more option type things from the quarterback, which, assuming Carter Smith continues to be the starter, this season and beyond, I think those elements are going to stay. And it's just going to be like, okay, what more can they, add to his plate to make the offense a little more diverse and a lot more challenging for defenses to stop.
Time with Mark Stewart, Badgers beat writer, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter or NX, whatever you call it, at Mark Stewart, MJS. I want to talk about the talented freshman linebackers because obviously that's what everybody's talking about. Posa and Catalano. And Tommy Wirtz, who's producing for me today, Charlie Usen is off, was like, yeah, well, hopefully they stay and they don't leave. Catalano is a Germantown guy. He's a Wisconsin guy. Posa is a New Mexico guy. Is there any concern for some of these freshmen to pick up and get out of here regardless of them getting the playing time now and having some success?
Oh, come on, Sparky. You talk about me bringing in the negative thoughts, and now it's you. Come on now.
Look, this is what I said. I said there's no chance Posa and Catalano are leaving. I just threw it out there. I don't think they are. I mean, Posa specifically is talking about, like, I'm here for the long haul. We're going to get this thing turned around. I mean, he's talking like a Hunter Wohler. He's talking like a leader to a certain degree as a freshman. And you could see the passion and the energy. And I understand this offense stinks and has stunk all year. I think Tressel's done a nice job for the most part this year, and you saw it again this week. So if they enjoy playing for Tressel, I think it makes sense that some of these guys, maybe especially on the defensive side of the ball, do stick around.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously it's early for that, but yeah, I mean, the vibe you get is that, both those guys, enjoy being here, they're roommates, they're best buds. And, so I think they enjoy playing with each other and kind of seeing what they can do here. What happens these days, though, is usually, shortly after the season, everyone will meet and, they'll get their proposed deal for the next year. And they'll, if they like it, they'll sign it and they'll be in the fold. And if not, they might, explore other options. But, yeah, I mean, I think, everything those guys have shown and everything that, Fickle has said about those guys says that when it comes time to, doling out money, those guys are going to be a priority. So I like you say, I would be surprised if they went elsewhere after this season.
Last one. Were you surprised that they stormed the field?
A little bit, but this year has been about adjusting my expectations. For a while it was just, we've seen Wisconsin for years, just win and kind of figure things out. And as they were going through this losing streak, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around the fact that, okay, these guys aren't really that good right now. Because even though the results are showing it on the field, history in your back of your mind is saying that they're going to turn it around. So
right.
Initially I was a little surprised, but then after I thought about it, this was an upset. Washington was ranked. This was Wisconsin's first win over a ranked team in 4 years. So for a lot of those students, this was a first. They haven't experienced it. For the most part, they've experienced bad to mediocre teams. So, in retrospect, it made sense, and it was a nice scene. It was a good scene for Wisconsin football and what's been pretty tough year.
No, it was a much needed shot in the arm. Now we'll see what they can do with it going forward. Mike, as always, thanks so much for coming on. Badger beat writer, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Follow all of his stuff, read all of his stuff. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Stewart MJS. Thank you much, dude. I appreciate it.
All right, now, hey, take care.
Take care. There he is, Mark Stewart, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Charlie Sounds of the Day, featuring Tommy Wirtz, who's in for Charlie Wirtz today, comes up next.
In for my brother Charlie?
In for your big Chuck. Tommy Wirtz coming up next. I love Potawatomi. Potawatomi's giving away over $300,000 in prizes. It's autumn action. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn action runs now through the 20th. You can earn entries playing with the Rewards Cup. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8 p.m. If you win, you get to pick your prize from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a rewards member to play. Like I said, Charlie Sounds today up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Other side of the glass is the aforementioned Tommy Wirtz in for Charlie Houston, who's heading to the Packer game tonight. Thanks for listening around the beautiful state of Wisconsin, whether it's on WNFL in Green Bay, 99.7 FM, or maybe you're listening to the game in Wausau on 93.9, or the game in Duluth Superior on 710 The Game, or in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. We appreciate being a part of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And with that, let's get to this.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, here we go. Time for Charlie Sounds of the Day. Top 3 picks. And, of course, it's brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this sports season on Prize Picks. Whether you're a football fan, a basketball fan, or a fan of both like I am, it always feels good to be right. Make sure to download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. We'll go over how good or bad we did on our lineup for the weekend after we are done with our segment. All right, sounds of the day. Where are we going first, Tommy Wirtz?
Yeah, I know, Charlie, his goal is to make you feel something at some point, whether it is anger, laughter, joy. I kind of wanted to turn this into maybe 3 mini segments into one segment here with my sounds of the day. The first one, we're going to go to CBS, the pregame show, Bill Cowher, remembering the life of Paul Tagliabue after he passed away this weekend.
Well, listen, I went into the Hall of Fame in 2020, and Paul Tagliabue was in the same class. Let us go back from the time I was in the National Football League. He's always been there. He was there my entire time as a head coach. Matter of fact, Roger Goodell served under him for his entire time in his 17 years that Paul was a commissioner. You think about the NFL, they've had 3 commissioners in 65 years. It went from Pete Rozelle for 29 years to Paul Tagliabue for 17, and Roger now is in his 19th year. That's stability.
Yeah.
And I think all 3 of these men had an ability to bring people together. They were visionaries. They were leaders. They did what was in the best interest of the National Football League while being very respectful of trying to bring all the parties together.
Yeah.
There was compromise. There was sacrifice. There's a degree of trust. And the NFL has prospered because of these guys' leadership. He was a special man and has always been an integral part of the National Football League and where they are today.
I wanted to pull that one for you, Spark, because it feels like Roger Goodell is very synonymous with the NFL, maybe not quite vice versa, but as someone who grew up where Tagliabue was only the commissioner for the first 6 years of my life, I don't really know a whole lot about him, and I wanted to know your take on him and how instrumental he was to bringing some more light to the NFL.
I expanded the league to 32 teams, number one. Number 2, and probably forget that being number 1. Number 1 is he's the one that negotiated the salary cap with the players union. So without that salary cap and without revenue sharing that he brought in as well, this league is not this league right now. You don't have the parity that you have right now in the National Football League without that hard salary cap. He was the one that, for the most part, avoided any major labor disruptions for most of his time while getting the salary cap put in its place. I don't think we'll ever see Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, or the NBA ever have a hard salary cap the way these guys do. Now, you can say the NBA kind of does by all these tiers of luxury tax penalties that they have, but it won't be structured the same way as the National Football League, nor will the National Football League ever give up the hard salary cap after the players union gave it to him. So, there's a lot of different things that you can point at for him, but the growth of the TV markets and how he continued to grow that with bigger and bigger TV packages and so forth. He is the reason why the NFL is as big as it is.
And
plain and simple.
When it's all said and done, how do you think Goodell wants to be known as? The international guy? Because it feels like that's where maybe his biggest motives are too.
Well, the international guy and the guy that jumped on all of the streaming packages and the Netflix and the Amazons and growing the game financially from that perspective, I think also is a big part of what he wants to be known as. He is definitely like all commissioners, are more about how can I make my owners more money. And he has done a really good job at that, I think, for the most part. But he's also going to be the CTE commissioner. So there's also going to be that, too, that goes along with him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We had that conversation already earlier in the show that it's something that has been brought to light in Goodell's tenure now as an NFL commissioner. I just wanted to pay some respects to Tagliabue if we don't get to him at some point on the show. Next clip. We're going to go to Mostly Sports. It's Barstool's morning show with Brandon Walker.
I thought this was going to be an all-death one. I thought Lenny Wilkins was going to be the next one, and we were just going to keep going over the people that died this weekend.
No, I just thought that Tagliabue earned his, 2 minutes here on the show.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This is talking about some possible college football playoff rankings and scenarios that seem like it could be a disaster for the committee.
There's a world the ACC does not get in. The Big 12 could play itself into a one-bid league. There's a world where you take even I'm going to say ACC champ. No. Texas Tech, Notre Dame, G5, and then 9 Big 10 SEC spots. Is that not fair?
No, because you would have to get, if the ACC is out.
We would get 2 G5s.
We get 2 G5s, Brandon. We would have like a USF and a JMU in the first round going to play like at Indiana and at Georgia, or at Georgia and at Ole Miss.
Timeout. How do you get 2 G5s?
Because
hold on,
the bylaws. Can I talk bylaws?
Talk bylaws.
Go to the bylaws.
Let me
bylaw 10B.
I
believe.
Understand this.
Bylaw 10B is that it is the 5 highest.
By the way, we were just about to say no. You just said no more bylaws. You don't want to hear it.
No more bylaws.
Now we're back in the bylaws.
Okay. It is the 5 highest rated conference champions. It does not matter where they come from.
So this hypothetical. Wait, it's the 5 highest, the 4 highest.
Five highest.
Five highest get in
automatically. So you'd have your SEC champ, your Big 10 champ.
That's 2.
Your Big 12 champ theoretically is the 3rd.
Could be the American.
You have the 8-4 Duke Blue Devils, who would be either behind a 11 or what 11-2 USF and a 12-1 JMU.
But if Duke wins the ACC, they're one of the 5.
No,
but that's 2 different.
Let's say Duke wins the ACC and they're the 25th ranked team in the country at 9-4.
Yeah.
JMU is 23rd. USF is 22. JMU and USF get in over Duke.
So right. I knew what you were going to go to.
My head's going to explode after listening to
it. Was all over the place. It was all over the place.
Memphis is the group of 5 based on the rankings last week, and they got upset this weekend.
Right. So again, now if the ACC does not put in a top 25 team in their conference that is a dumpster fire right now, that could be something very detrimental to the future of the college football playoff.
This. So let me see if I got this right. James Madison will be in the playoff and not Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to double check that. That's possibly the way we're going. And if you're Nebraska and Scott Frost is doing what Scott Frost is doing, I'm just saying, like, I would be feeling a certain kind of way about how much success Scott Frost is having.
Luke Fickell, more ranked wins than Matt Rule in their Big 10 tenure, by the way.
That's
in case
ridiculous, too. And Rule just got a huge contract extension.
Yes. Yeah, we can move on to clip number 3. Just wanted to play that scenario out that there is a very good path for the ACC to not get a team in the college football playoff based on the rules that the NCAA writ, which they're going to have to rewrite after this because the ACC is not going to deal with that. And then this next one, just some speculation.
What?
What is
going on? What, soccer? What was that?
Munetaka Murakami was posted from the NPB over the weekend. If you remember, he was big during the World Baseball Classic, which also brings up there are a ton of KBO and NPB players being posted.
He's the pitcher, right?
Murakami is the third baseman.
Oh, but there's a pitcher posted too, or is about to be posted.
Yes. So I just had his name pulled up here.
So the third baseman's got a high strikeout rate and tends to whiff quite a bit against high velocity. The Brewers are not going to be in on that, dude. I love him because he's a third baseman. So I'd love to be in on him, but the numbers are talking for this cat, dude. He's going to be like fourth or fifth highest paid free agent possibly.
Tetsuya Imai, I'm pretty sure I nailed that.
They're saying
by
he's
the
going to
way.
be the third or fourth highest paid pitcher in this
Yes.
deal.
So I wonder, because the Brewers have done so much into their to say that they're not in the international game is just wrong. They've done so much in Central America, Dominican Republic, all over the place. There, they've had some tremendous success. But it's always big markets getting people to come over from Asia, whether it is from the KBO or the NPB.
Because you have to first pay the team that you're taking the guy from and then pay the guy. So you got to pay twice on this deal.
Right. So will we ever see a deal maybe worked out after the next CBA with the MLB or with the low markets on any potential to have some of these international superstars that are looking to bring to Major League Baseball to grow the game internationally, ending up in an organization such as the Milwaukee Brewers?
Zero chance. No. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. There's just absolutely no chance. No.
Why not?
Pittsburgh is not getting one of these dudes. There's no chance.
Well, if
the only way that happens is if there's an international draft, to which I don't believe the Players Association will ever allow that.
Wasn't Roki Sasaki like a shortlist team, the Brewers? Last year. So
because that wasn't a posting. So everybody was going to have to pay the same amount. That meant everybody was in play for that cat. That's why. That's the only reason why. If there would have been a posting, there's no chance it could have got involved. Prize Picks, baby. It's as simple as this. You do more or less on daily fantasy with at least 2 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. Plus, they now offer stacks. I stacked AJ Green last week. Failed horribly. Never should have done it. Now, that means you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Now, that means you can pick more, say Giannis, which is what I should have done. Points, rebounds, blocks, whatever the case may be. And then you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Plus, they offer you the flex play, which means you can get one wrong and still win at the end of the day. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details. I would like to build a lineup now, if you do not mind, Mr. Wirtz.
All right.
Jordan Love, we have a more, Josh Jacobs, more or less rushing and receiving touchdowns of a half. We're going to go more.
He'll get one. Yeah.
Makes sense, right? Exactly. Okay. We have another one here. Jalen Hurts, more or less 1.5 passing touchdowns. I feel like more is a good choice there as well, because I feel like it's going to be a shootout today. Maybe I'm not. More or less 76.5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley. More for that one as well. And more or less 1.5 passing touchdowns for Jordan Love. I'm going to go more on that as well. So I'm doing all of those bad boys together, all 4 of them. So Jalen Hurts, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Jordan Love, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, more than a half rushing and receiving touchdown. Saquon Barkley, more than 76.5 rushing yards. Prize Picks, that's the way I'm going about it. Download it. Use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Back after this with our green and gold update.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in hour number 3 as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie Usen on his way to Lambeau Field. Him and his girl going to their first Packers game at Lambeau today. He'll be off today and tomorrow. Tommy Wirtz filling in for Charlie Usen the next 2 days. Plus, you'll catch Tommy Wirtz and myself coming up tonight after the game, starting at 10:30. From 10:30 to midnight, we'll be doing the Green Bay football post-game show, powered by Lakeland University, taking your calls, your texts, your tweets, your social media posts. Plus, we'll go inside the locker room. We'll hear from Ryan Wood of the Green Bay Press-Gazette, Packers beat writer. All of that tonight after the Packers and Eagles do their thing at Lambeau. Coming up in the next segment at 4:20, we'll check in at Lambeau with Paul Bretl from ESPN Lacrosse, get his thoughts on tonight's game, his keys to the game. And then 4:40, things that Sparky missed. And I have a whole bunch of them listed there at 4:40 for us to discuss. So we'll get into some of that coming up at 4:40. With that being said, it's 4 o'clock, which means we do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, time for our green and gold update. So first off, let me explain to you why we're doing this topic at 4 o'clock. Because I was listening to that 9 to noon show with John Kuhn, former Packer fullback, sideline analyst for the Packers Radio Network. I was listening to Rami Makloff. I was listening to Brandon Snide. And they were having this whole big conversation. And John Kuhn and Rami Makloff were talking about, well, hey, it's pretty close to a must-win, but I'll have this one tonight. And I'm listening to Brandon Snide and going, come on, man. It's the middle of the season. Like, you want to be playing good at the end of the year, regardless of what happens here. So then they go to commercial. They come out. Brandon Snide does some research. He goes back and he looks. In 2013 was the last time they won back-to-back home games. Mind you,
lost.
I am listening as well. Lost home games, correct. I'm listening, and I was like, man, I swore they lost back-to-back home games back in 2010. So I put that bad boy into Google, and AI spits out, yes, indeed, they did lose back-to-back games in 2010, week 6 and week 7. If you remember, this was the part of the year where they were struggling. Struggle bus for the Green Bay Packers. Nobody thought they were a Super Bowl team at this point of the year. Back in like 2010, they had to win to get in and then got on that magical run there at the end. That is how you want to do it. Not that you want to have to win to get in. You'd like to have it decided before then, but you want to be playing your best football. Now, that team was losing player after player after player, week in and week out, and ended up with 16, 17 guys on the injured list before the season was over, and were playing with a shell of themselves of what they actually had. And Ted Thompson was doing his magic, signing guys off the street and putting them on the roster. The guys were getting coached up and being put in positions to succeed, and it was amazing. So with that being the background to this question, I'm curious. As a Packers fan, how important are tonight's results to you as a fan? More so than any other game they played this season? More so than beating Aaron Rodgers? More so than that week 1 victory against the Detroit Lions? More so than those games? That's what I'd like to know. Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250, on the socials at WI Sports Radio. We were talking about the tush push earlier, and we have a Nicolay Law talk and text line, a text message that came in. Weak take on the tush push and offensive lineman carrying runners. Watch yesterday's aftermath of the highlight of the touchdown run by Jahmyr Gibbs. If you need someone else to push you, then you are not a great player. Well, I would love to see you tell that to anybody in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. You, by all means, you go tell them that they're not great at what they do, because they found a competitive advantage to make it easier for them to get a yard or two in that situation.
Yeah, I don't deny that it takes a very special, talented player to be able to run through 250-pound to 300-pound, 8% body fat men, but it can't help if you have that guy behind you
Correct.
as well, right?
Right. Correct. Yes. So, yeah, I guess we'll agree to disagree on that take. Tonight, we're going to do this post-game show. And if they get whooped, I'm going to be mad. Just be straight honest with you. If they get whooped and it's not competitive, I'm going to be mad. Because that's going to mean then that all these people that want LaFleur and Love gone and whatever are really going to be on their high horse tonight that I'm going to have to deal with. So really not looking forward to that. I think this is a good measuring stick game as far as where you are at this moment in time in the season. Right now, if you were to put power rankings together as far as who are the teams to beat in the NFC, the Seahawks are in the conversation. The Rams are in the conversation. The Eagles are in the conversation. And even though the Lions are behind the Packers, for some weird reason, everybody wants to put the Lions in front of the Packers, regardless of where they are in the standings in their own division. So the Lions are in the conversation. Those are the people in the conversation. The Packers are trying to fight their way into the conversation. Do they have to be in the conversation right now? Absolutely not. They only have to be in the conversation about NFC Conference Championship game time. That's when you want to be in the conversation. Be one of the Final Four. Have a chance to beat whoever it is standing in front of you to get to the Super Bowl. That's when it matters. So while I agree that this is a important game and that the fact that you've never beaten them with Matt LaFleur against Nick Sirianni, you've never beaten Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback, that is very, very important. You want to get that off of your back. Kind of like the Badgers needed to get a Big Ten win on Saturday to get that off their back. They need to get this off their back that they can beat the Eagles, because odds are they're going to probably see the Eagles in the playoffs at some point if they want to go to a Super Bowl, and they're probably going to have to beat them. And if you get beat this game, then it's still going to be in your head that you can't beat them. One of the guys that Micah Parsons says is the toughest player that he has to go against is Lane Johnson for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we'll see where Micah Parsons lines up and so forth, but we know Micah Parsons will be fired up to face the Philadelphia Eagles, as that has been a rivalry for the Cowboys since Micah Parsons has been in the league. So you know he's going to be motivated and ready to go. It appears that at least Jordan Love wants to settle a score with the Philadelphia Eagles after how poorly they played last year in this game as well. If this team comes out flat and are chasing 10 or 14 early, bad sign for everybody involved in that locker room if that's how they come out. Like, I'm not as worried about win-loss. I'm more concerned about how do they play. That aggressive, flying around, being super fast on defense, being really physical was a thing for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Detroit, Washington. Since then, when they see really physical football teams, they get their butt kicked. And they have problems. Well, arguably the most physical football team in the National Football League are the Philadelphia Eagles. And that is what they're going to have to deal with tonight in this game. Will they respond with the same type of physicality that they played with in week 1 and week 2? Because even if you go back to week 1 and week 2, we said this is nice, but can they consistently do this for 17 weeks? The answer to that question is a resounding no. Now, can they turn it on when they want to? Just like a struggling Major League Baseball team. Can they turn it on in the playoffs? Can they turn it on at the end when it matters? Like the Dodgers, who weren't that dominant team necessarily and had their ups and downs. And when they needed to, they turned it on, right? Can a Kobe Lakers team turn it on when they need to? Can a LeBron Miami Heat team turn it on when they need to? Those type of questions. Can they turn it on when they need to? We'll find out tonight. Can the Packers turn it on when they need to? And if the answer is yes, and they come out, they play well, let's say they beat Philadelphia, in a weird way, it should ease some of the tensions that are between Packer fans and this team. Because if they show they can turn it on when they want, that makes you feel better about what the playoffs will look like. Even if they stumble and lose to the Giants or stumble and lose to some other crappy team along the way here, the fact that they are able to do it when they want, I think is a huge deal going forward for this Packers team and fan base. What say you as a Packer fan? How important are the results tonight to you, more so than other games played this season? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. And of course, follow us on social, streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Tommy Wirtz, not as important to me are the results, more about how they play and so forth going on in this game. What about you?
I'm going to disagree, I think. And I don't want to say that I'm leaning with Brandon Snide because I don't know if I can live up to that take if I were to agree with him on everything. But man, this is a game where you're second in the NFC with a victory and you are seventh with a loss.
Andy Herman put that out on social media from Pack a Day podcast.
The margin of error in the NFC this year seems smaller than it has been almost any other year. And I know that that's usually the case with playoff teams, but this Green Bay team has much bigger goals and aspirations than winning every game all season in the regular season. I understand that, but a part of that is reclaiming the NFC North, and you will not be in second place with a loss today. You will be in third place behind the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. I think this game is massive for a measuring stick as well. I don't take a lot of the credibility of game one against the Detroit Lions as this team has right now because, quite frankly, the Lions got it back. They're a different team than that week one performance, in my opinion, already. It's a great win, looks good on paper, but as far as what has happened since that moment, it feels like the Detroit Lions are on a much higher trajectory than what happened in week one.
That's a fair point. The Lions were so confident and so happy with how things are going. They stripped John Morton of his play calling duties on offense because Dan Campbell didn't like the direction of the offense. Leading up to that game, I heard, now again in Detroit, I don't know, but nationally, I heard nobody talking about, boy, they better make a change there at play caller because Detroit's offense is struggling. Nobody brought it up. Now, Dan Campbell makes the change. I still haven't heard anybody really talk about this, and he drops a 40 burger or whatever it was in this last game, and that's great. I know Dan Campbell's history of calling plays, right? We've seen it. I'm happy he's calling plays. Let him continue to call plays through the rest of the year and into the postseason, because I promise you it will be the detriment of that offense before it's all said and done.
We've seen it in the postseason too with Dan Campbell before on, trying to go for the gusto and then it ends up being egg on his face as well. I don't think that you can clarify this game as a must-win game because it is November 10th, but it is something that I've brought up on the Mason Crosby show saying, after Halloween, you take your mask off and you are really who you are. And it starts to feel like that is now where this NFL season is going. The teams that are producing well against good teams are good teams. The teams who continue to struggle week in and week out are bad teams. And I want Green Bay to go towards the direction of good teams. So right now, we are in the home stretch. It's already week 10 of the NFL season. How fast that flew by.
Opening day will be here soon.
And I just need to see.
Sorry.
Joe Schoen. I got it. I want to see something out of Green Bay in a big marquee game, Monday Night Football, and to show up and say, hey, we can be the team. We should be seen as a team that is very competitive in the NFL, not just in the NFC, not just in the NFC North, but for a chance to raise that Super Bowl championship. Like, you can put an exclamation point on that statement if you get a big victory against Philadelphia tonight.
We're talking about in the 3:00 hour, who's feeling the most pressure. And I said Matt LaFleur. There is going to have to be something here from Matt LaFleur and this offense. They're going to have to show something to Philadelphia that Philadelphia hasn't seen. Now, I don't know what that's going to be, what he's going to bring out. Will he bring out the extra offensive lineman and give him that old school Kevin Barry U71 package where you have the sixth offensive lineman to help that running game get going, or what the case may be? But something is going to have to be brought out. There's going to have to be something where Philadelphia's defense and Fangio, the defensive coordinator, haven't prepared for, haven't seen, that gives this Packers offense a little bit of an advantage, because you do not want that Eagles front 17 off on Jordan Love and that offensive line knowing what's coming before it happens, right? Now, it's one thing to say, okay, I know they're going to run. Okay, well, you don't know where they're going to run or anything of that sort. But when I know you're going to pass, that means I know I've got 3 seconds to get there to hit you, because there's no threat of you running at this point. That's completely different. You do not want to be in that position in this football game. The longer it's close, the better off you should feel about the Packers. But if they're chasing from the word go, the worse you should feel, because that means they can run Barkley all night long, don't have to worry about throwing it, beating up your defensive line, which means by the fourth quarter, it's going to be horrendous by what they're going to be able to do. It is highly critical that they are not chasing in this game early.
Yeah, and honestly, something about mobile quarterbacks hasn't really been a problem for Jeff Hafley in his day. It feels like I remember bringing it up with Kyler Murray coming into Green Bay last year, and he was non-factor. And there really hasn't been, they haven't had to face Lamar Jackson, and they will this year under the Jeff Hafley tenure. But they seem to have an idea, and maybe it goes to their extremely athletic linebacker room where you have Quay Walker, you have Edgerrin Cooper.
Very conservative.
And it's a very conservative defense. So I'm not worried about it necessarily from a Jalen Hurts standpoint, but in every game that Green Bay has lost or tied, running backs have had a very good day in those. Rico Dowdle, Quinshon Judkins, and Javonte Williams, even in the 40-40 tie, all of them had very easy days on the ground. Now, that Javonte Williams wasn't really the reason why they won or lost or tied that game, rather. But Rico Dowdle and Quinshon Judkins, big factors into why Green Bay lost that game. Saquon Barkley, one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL, could absolutely take a game into his hands.
Coming up next, we'll check with Paul Bretl at Lambeau Field from ESPN Lacrosse, Packers beat writer for them. We'll get his thoughts on tonight's game and what he's hearing around Lambeau Field. Straight ahead, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's that time of year, the sing-songy family gathering baked goodsy season. And Wendy's went and made the Frosty of your holiday dreams. Charlie Usen says it's the best one that they've done yet, the Frosty Fusion. It's a Snickerdoodle cookie Frosty Fusion made with swirls of sweet, gooey Snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony Snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia. So preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle cookie Frosty Fusion is here, and it's seriously delicious. The iconic Frosty mixed with sweet Snickerdoodle cookies. It's gotta be Wendy's. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky here. Tommy Wirtz, other side of the glass, filling in for Charlie Usen. Still to come, things Sparky missed. That comes up in about 15 minutes from right now or so. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one of my favorites. Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for ESPN Lacrosse, joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's going on, Mr. Bretl? How are you?
I am excellent, Sparky. Thanks for having me.
You are hanging out at Lambeau Field, right? How are things at Lambeau Field? Are we seeing a lot of Eagles fans yet? It's really early, obviously.
Yeah, I haven't yet, but I did out and about around town today. I saw a few of them for sure. So I think there's going to be some of that Eagles green in the stands tonight.
Yeah, I would assume that there'll be a lot of Eagles fans. They travel well, probably maybe not as well as Steelers fans, but I would assume they travel pretty good. And again, when you play in a field like Lambeau, you're going to attract road fans no matter what, because it's kind of like a shrine in NFL football.
Absolutely. I mean, Monday Night Football, like you said, Lambeau Field, a matchup of two teams who are, expected contenders within the NFC. All lights are going to be on this one.
All right, let's talk about this matchup coming up tonight. I will say that for me going into this one, my concern is the Packers defensive line, because if this plays like every other game where they face a quarterback that can run a little bit, Jeff Hafley will get super conservative, rely on his front 4 or 5 to get home, not blitz necessarily a lot, try to keep everything in front of them, and maybe run blitz once in a while to stop Saquon Barkley, but not get overly aggressive. That's my take. And if that happens, I'm very concerned that it could be a long night for the Green Bay Packers. What say you?
Yeah, that is going to be definitely a balance that they're going to have to find with this one. I mean, not just the Eagles, like you mentioned, but we've seen other teams obviously have success against the Packers with that quick game approach, right? And plotting their way down the field. And to a degree, I think the Packers in those situations, whether you agree with it or not, but to a degree, I think they're okay with it, because putting up a lot of points when you have to consistently string together 10-plus play drives is not easy. Now, having said that, you still have to find a way to be disruptive. And I think the big thing for this defense, what's been missing, because they have been good this season, but the turnovers, the takeaways, that aspect has been missing. And it feels like they're going to have to win that battle against this Eagles team if they're going to come out with a victory in this game. And from a X's and O's standpoint, when you're facing a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you have to decide, okay, like you mentioned, are we going to rush 4 and have this more controlled rush to keep him in the pocket? Or are we going to be more aggressive and understand that there's going to be times where he's able to get out and extend plays? And it doesn't have to be one or the other. Coordinators can mix as the game unfolds, but that's kind of at the base level of the decision-making against this Eagles team. And what makes me think that perhaps we see a bit more of an aggressive approach given Hurts' skill set is that during the week, Jeff Hafley talked about how from even last year to this year, where he's seen Hurts really grow is as a passer. His navigating the pocket, getting the ball out quickly, operating within the timing and rhythm of the play. So perhaps that play from Hurts that he's seen this season is going to spark this Packers defense to say, well, we can't just let him hang in the pocket. We have to be disruptive. Otherwise, he's going to take advantage of holes in the secondary.
Let me ask you this. Do you think they've used Edgerrin Cooper in the right way under Jeff Hafley? Because I think I can argue that they should be using him more from an aspect of blitzing and getting after the quarterback, stacking him on the same side as Micah Parsons, or staying aside as Rashawn Gary. I don't feel like he's really used him enough as a blitzer.
Yeah, I think there's more opportunity for that. And we've honestly seen a lot of Quay Walker in those roles, right? I mean, he's had a lot of snaps where he's been the de facto defensive end on some plays getting after the quarterback. But I think in part of that decision is because of Cooper's speed, his ability to just erase plays, his instincts. I think the Packers like having that presence in the middle of the field, right? Because if you are going to send Quay Walker, you have a pretty good eraser in the middle of the field where you're now shorthanded because Walker's blitzing, but you have Cooper to track down the running back, the tight end, the receiver, whoever may get the ball, close those spaces. So that's just my guess as to why he's being used in that fashion. But like you said, I mean, his speed, his ability to get after the quarterback, there's a ton of disruption potential that he brings.
Let's talk a little bit about the cornerback situation for this team. There was some talk that maybe Asante Samuel ends up with the Green Bay Packers. Have you heard anything more about the medicals and how that all played out?
I haven't specifically. I know from some of the national reports out there that my understanding is that he has been cleared and is available or ready to resume football activities. From what it sounds like, he's doing an extensive visits right now. I think the Packers were one of 6 teams, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of those visits even extended into maybe today and even tomorrow, like early this week. So I think that process of him seeing where teams are, maybe some contract numbers, how am I going to be utilized, what's my role, kind of figuring that out. I think we're now to the point where that has been established or is close to being established for him. And then he can kind of start weighing what his options are.
This is another one of those deals where if this is prime Dr. McKenzie, I don't think they're even sniffing when you're talking about a neck injury, Paul. And now it feels like they're maybe willing to take a little bit more of a gamble to roll the dice and see what happens. Back in the day, Packers very, very conservative when dealing that type of stuff and would just get themselves out of it. I mean, if you go back to even like Sam Shields, they bailed on that deal, and you still saw him get other opportunities around the National Football League.
Yeah, I think one reason that the Packers are looking into this is because it's still, if Samuel were to come here from the Packers perspective, it still is a low risk versus reward outcome for them because if it's a league minimum deal for half the season and it doesn't work out, like in terms of salary cap dollars, that's nothing to this team. Now, when it comes to, from Samuel's perspective, is there another team that's going to up that offer compared to Green Bay, to your point? That absolutely could be a deciding factor for him. But you also have to think that there's certainly some appeal here, right? I mean, the Packers are expected to be a contender. There is potential opportunities for him to see the field. I mean, the backups going into tonight's game are Kamal Head and Bo Melton. Neither of them have a defensive regular season snap in their careers. So money aside, and not to downplay that, because again, these players have to capitalize on that opportunity, but a winning team, potential to see the field. I mean, you would think that from that perspective, right, the Packers could be an appealing team for him.
Talking with Paul Bretl. He's live at Lambeau Field. Follow him on X at Paul_Bretl. You can also live stream this bad boy right there on X or on YouTube at WI Sports Radio, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Let's get into elevations, right? So they promote Welch up for special teams, the linebacker. That makes sense. Interesting that no wide receivers come up. Is that a positive that we may see Weeks, we may see Savion Williams, we may see Matthew Golden, do you think?
I think so. I think of those 3 who are questionable, the fact that no one was elevated, I would guess that at least 2 of those 3 are going to be playing in this game. And, in terms of who that might be, I look at Dontavian Wicks. He was limited all 3 days last week, which I think is a good sign, right? Didn't have any sort of setbacks, anything like that. Savion Williams, we have less information about his foot injury, but he seemed to be trending in the right direction, right? Went from a non-participant to limited. So those are 2 guys that I'm looking at. And then Matthew Golden, I'm very much up in the air on in terms of, is he going to be available or not? On one sense, he went from being limited on the first day to not participating the last 2 days. And typically, again, every injury is different, every player is different, but typically that's not a good sign. But on Saturday, Matt LaFleur did say that he's still day-to-day at that point. So I think a lot of it comes down to how's he feeling and do they believe that his shoulder can hold up to playing a game, the contact, being tackled. So I think, like I said, at least 2 of those guys will be available for this game. And the wild card for me is going to be Golden's availability.
Okay, so no Tucker Kraft, Paul Bretl. So does that mean Luke Musgrave, they try to get him going early and often in this one? The Eagles, second best in the league as far as giving up fewest yards against tight ends.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think this is really going to be a group effort, right? When it comes to trying to do their best to minimize Kraft's absence. You have Musgrave with his speed who can stretch the field. You have Fitzpatrick, who's more of a blocker. And of course, both those guys are going to be asked to do both. They have to block, they have to pass. But I think we're going to see a heavy dose of both of those players in this game, kind of depending on what the situation is. And I even think trying to, again, minimize Kraft's absence, it's going to go beyond those 2. I think in the passing game, how do you recreate that yak ability? Because that's not a strength of Musgrave or Fitzpatrick. All right, what do we have to do to get Josh Jacobs some screens or the ball in the flat. What do we have to do to get Christian Watson, or if Matthew Golden's available, right? Some shallow crossers, some plays in space where that speed of theirs can help recreate that yak ability that, as of now, until we see otherwise, is missing from this offense without Kraft. So I think it's going to be a little bit of everyone extending beyond the tight end position. But in terms of playing time, I expect to see a decent amount of both Musgrave and Fitzpatrick tonight.
Last question, Paul Bretl. We asked a question at 3:00. Who on the Packers is feeling the most pressure heading into tonight's game versus the Eagles? I said Matt LaFleur. He's never beaten the Eagles with Jalen Hurts as starting quarterback. 0-4. You have to figure that if I'm Ed Policy watching this, you have to show me you can beat, what should be the best team in the NFC in the Philadelphia Eagles, whether it be now or in the playoffs. And if you can't, that could be a deciding factor of what they're going to do after this season.
Yeah, I think to your original question, who's the most pressure on, right? I look at LaFleur as well, because we've seen on both sides of the ball, the offense, the defense, just the talent that this team has, but it's the consistency. And when it comes to the consistency, you're always going to look first to the coach, because we know the talent's here, we know the playmaking's here. So what's missing to have those abilities on display regularly? So yes, I would look to Matt LaFleur as well. I'll also say this: whether the Packers win, whether the Packers lose, the outcome of this season isn't going to be written tonight. The important part is that this team finds a way, and that's the question, right? They have to show this. But the important part is that this team finds a way to be playing their best football at the end of the season. That is such an important part to all this. The 2023 Packers were operating at a high level. The 24 Packers had more wins, but were struggling. Those two teams ended the seasons in very different fashions. So this would be a great step, right, to begin trending in that right direction as we enter the latter portion of the year.
Paul Bretl, you and I talk a lot. You hung out with me at the draft back in April in Green Bay. I thought we were tight. I thought we were on the same page. And I was not aware that you are now the Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal as well. What, was I under a rock? When did this happen?
It's relatively new. It officially started just before week 1. So we're a few months into it.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm elated and still pinching myself about it, to be honest.
I mean, you got the ESPN lacrosse job. I was all excited for you. And you go and you look at this dude's Twitter. He's Wisconsin State Journal, ESPN lacrosse, pre and post game coverage of NBC 26. Man, you're all over the place, Paul Bretl. I'm proud of you, man. You are doing a kick butt job as always. Thank you so much for coming on. I have a piece that you should write this week. Somebody needs to do a piece and find out when the hell Toyotathon is starting. It would have been nice had it started today for Jordan Love. It would have been nice.
This would have been a perfect game for it.
Yes, it would have been nice. And I Googled it while you were talking, and there's no talk of when it already would have started. Last year, it started by this point. I'm concerned that they're not doing Toyotathon in the football season. I'm concerned.
I have to think it's coming up. I feel like it's around a Thanksgiving to Christmas stretch, so maybe we're upon it here.
I better get here soon. Paul, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Sparky.
There he is, Paul Bretl. Follow him on X at Paul_Bretl. And of course, he was on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Do you have news on the Toyotathon sale?
No, I do not. But I just popped in just to fill the screen. I guess. I don't know.
Aw.
We were I just want to be next to you.
You didn't want me to feel lonely.
Right.
Oh, that's nice. We can hang out together. I mean, I'm not Mason Crosby, but if you want, we can hang out together at Potawatomi. They're giving away over $300,000 in prizes. It's Autumn Action, baby. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn Action runs now through the 20th, and you can earn entries playing with the rewards card. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8. And if you win, you get to pick your prize right from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a rewards member to play. Coming up next, things Sparky missed. Plus, we'll make our predictions for tonight's game. All before Tommy and I get back together again tonight for the Green Bay Football Postgame Show, powered by Lakeland University from 10:30 to midnight. So make sure to make the switch right back here to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network at that point. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Smarky here. Tommy Wentz on the side of the glass. Green Bay football postgame show powered by Lakeland University tonight, 10:30 to midnight. If you miss it, you always go back, listen to it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You'll find the Green Bay football postgame show as well. Okay, it is time for a segment we've done for quite some time, and I am a big fan of said segment. And I will now let you hear what segment I'm talking about.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, so I want to get to a story because I do not want to forget to do this because I really, really want to do this. So last week, we talked about Stephen A. Smith and this solitaire app that he has, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this big tournament, and we played the commercial on the air and all of this. Did you see Mina Kimes? Because Mina Kimes is one of the people that was also helping to promote Stephen A. Smith doing this and all of that. Did you see Mina Kimes?
No.
She is mad, let me tell you. Mina Kimes on Saturday evening took to social media to express regret for advertising an app called Solitaire Cast, which is owned by a company, Papaya Gaming, that was recently found to have defrauded customers in what are called real money games of skill. A court recently ruled that Papaya Gaming placed bots into games that were purportedly played by only human users, and those bots could determine whether human users won or lost. She said, quote, "The truth is I didn't spend any time looking into this whole thing, and that's 100% on me. Thought it was just typical marketing work, and I'm deeply embarrassed I didn't vet it. A colossal bleep up on my part," Kimes wrote to her followers on X. Ooh, buddy. Kimes posted on Blue Sky, haven't been paid a dime. We'll see what happens now, but if I do, I'm certainly giving it away, she said.
I mean, did you download the app? Did it
No.
play you?
No, I didn't do it, but nor would I have done it. I'm just saying that is on ESPN. That's on them. They took this to, I guarantee you, to Stephen A. Smith and said, "Hey, man, do you want to do this? They're going to pay X amount of dollars. Let's do this." They didn't do the research on the company. They didn't do the background, obviously, check on the company. And now they put all these dudes out there to deal with this. That's on them for not doing the research on the company.
And my surprise face that Stephen A. Smith just said yes and
yes,
just
but a lot of
continued
people
going.
would. It's not just him. A lot of people would have said, "Oh, yeah, sure. They're going to pay me how much? Yeah, I'm in, man. Write me the check." Right? You're going to do that. So, I mean, Mina Kimes was technically, I think, an endorser possibly, and now we'll see whether or not she gets paid for it. But that was something I did not want to forget. The other one I wanted to talk about, and I think we have the audio. I don't know if we do or not. Do we have the Mike Tomlin audio?
Oh, you already know. I just pulled it right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I got it right here. Mike Tomlin last night. Now listen, I want to be very clear. I watched this game for the Steelers and the Chargers. And when Rodgers got sacked in the end zone and lost the football and all of that, I was like, good. I was excited. I really was. And Tomlin, after the game, talking about Rodgers, was asked, about Rodgers.
I got it in there.
Rodgers' performance or whatever. How would you assess Aaron Rodgers' performance? He said, "How would you?" Right? He was not going to bat for Aaron Rodgers of any sort. Last night was the very first time, Tommy Words, where I thought to myself, holy crap, he's done. And what made me think that was there was one play where he got blitzed and he had a guy open to his left. And you know what he did? He threw it as he spun out of the way to avoid the hit of the incoming blitzer. When he did that, I was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers just stands in there, throws a good pass, and takes the hit. When you start spinning or thinking about the hit more than you're thinking about the pass, it's over, man. It's time to go home.
Maybe.
And there were numerous times in that game where he was having problems, not only delivering the ball, he had DK Metcalf down the right sideline by, I don't know, he had his cornerback beat by 2 or 3 yards and still overthrew him on the one play early in that game.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, you know,
it's not sad.
I'm sad. I would love to see.
I'm not saddened by it at all.
Aaron Rodgers just ball out wherever he plays. I feel that way, and it's sad when it's not working out in Pittsburgh. And you know, maybe
They're
he
not
could
that
take
good.
Maybe he could take some more hits if his left tackle wasn't tackling him every time they score a touchdown. So
details. But again, that was the first time watching him where I was like, it's over. Like, I don't think he's playing next year.
I mean,
because you get this on tape, it's ugly. Now, having said that, he's still better than Russell Wilson that's employed by the Giants.
Oh, God.
That dude comes in. That game, I was watching that game. I'm going, you're telling me that you really think this is a better option than Jameis Winston?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
That was my thought.
No way.
Yep.
Like, Russell, you're done. Jameis Winston's the backup. You're done. You're out of here.
After that
I would
game,
have fired Dabble and cut Russell Wilson in the same
after
press
that
conference.
game, Chris McIntosh should have made one phone call, and it was to Russell Wilson.
Be our GM.
Be the general manager.
Yes.
We will pay you $1 million a year to just be our guy because football's done. It's over. We'll get you a nice little house on a lake in Madison area right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you just be the guy that we can show your face. You can stay in Seattle or wherever you stay, you know, outside of where you're working professionally, but you have a place to stay, wear a nice suit. He's got a great smile, be great for advertising, be the new Badger guy, because it ain't working in the NFL anymore.
No, it's definitely not working in the NFL anymore. This might be working. Woo. I tweeted last night during that game, and after I tweeted it, he didn't make another shot. But I did tweet it, and I said, man, when Kuzma's making shots, he's fun to watch. And defensively, he's played pretty good defensively so far this season. He's been up in guys' grills doing his thing. Overall, I think as a Bucs fan, you're happy with what you've seen out of Kuzma. Now, that game specifically last night, Giannis scored a bunch of points and blew it. If we're being honest. In the last minute, my God, you missed 2 free throws. You turn over the ball. Like, he single-handedly kind of lost that game in the last minute. He single-handedly got them to where they were. But after that, that was it. One other thing, and I know I pick on AJ Green, but man, if he's that good a shooter, why isn't he taking more shots every game?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you running plays to get that kid more shots? He took 5 shots in that game. 5. He should be taking 9, 10, 11 shots a game if he can shoot it as well as they say he can shoot it. He just disappears for long stretches. And when he's on the court, he, quote, tries hard, but that's the extent of it on defense.
Look, I love AJ Green. I think he's doing exactly what I thought he was going to do for this team. He's knocking down 3 3-pointers a day. And maybe, to your point, he should be getting more opportunities at it. But this guy looks fine in the role that he has, I think, for this team. He's a guy, he's getting paid $12 million, which is not a lot on an NBA roster. And I think he should probably take some more shots because they already think they found a defined number 2 with Ryan Rollins more than they have with Miles Turner.
Yep.
Why not continue to elevate AJ Green up that ladder too?
Absolutely right. Another thing that we missed.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to call out a certain member of our on-air staff and producer thing, but I was disappointed with his response to what I said. Darren Payne punched Amon-Ra St. Brown in that game last night. The play was over. No, he just sucker punched him. I never really sucker punched him. He saw the punch coming. But boom.
I saw it.
I quote to it. I was like, man, get out of here with all this. He needs to be spending for multiple games. He got 1 game for that nonsense. Ridiculous. Now, I don't know if Amon-Ra St. Brown cheap shot at him earlier in the game. I don't know what that was all about, why he punched him. Maybe he said something on a podcast. Guy was mad. Don't know. Either way. But, man, we can't be saying, well, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. He deserves it. No, man. Nobody deserves that crap. None of that crap should be allowed in the National Football League. And to only give that dude 1 game is ridiculous, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that it's football. It's already a naturally vicious and violent sport. Like, can we not throw punches during it? That would be awesome, right? And you talk about it like it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, Deron Payne could mess up Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is a massive dude. I do think it's always funny how so many punches are thrown in football when They're wearing a giant helmet that's like all these tests are on it. It's probably going to hurt your hand a whole lot more than it's going to hurt his face. But I completely understand where you're coming from. It's football. It's already got that viciousness.
That dude played at Alabama. Ain't no way Nick Saban is signing off on that behavior. No. All right, predictions for tonight's game. What you got?
27-17 Philadelphia.
I'm going to roll Matt Schneidman, who earlier today with Trevor and Josh predicted 27-24 Eagles in this one. So I'm going to roll that. I'm hoping it's going to be close and it comes down to the end and we'll see what happens. Really want Green Bay to win. Really want Jordan Love in this offense to go off to shut everybody up. Really, really want it. But they cannot get down early. We'll talk to you after the game. Green Bay Football Postgame Show powered by Lakeland University right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. With that guy, Tommy Wirtz, myself, C. Sparky Pfeiffer. We'll talk to you then starting tonight at 10:30. Have a good one, y'all. Toodles.